What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hello, everyone.
I hope everyone out there had a very good Thanksgiving, or if you don't celebrate, or if you don't live in the U.S., Thursday last week. I hope was solid. I have halos around every light that I see right now because I went to the eye doctor. And so my pupils are all dilated. And that's still a thing. So, but we have a fun show. Some good stuff to talk about this week. Some news. Fortunately, 2 weeks worth of news. Because if we only had to worry about 1 week's worth of news, we would not have a lot of news. And then we have a lot of wrestling stuff to talk about in the post office about one Cash Money Punk who is back in WWE.
Corporate man Punk
Yep.
is back in the WWE.
So, more to come there. I'm going to get started. So, I did cave like a weak-willed piece of shit.
Like a Micah. You caved like a Micah.
I did cave like a Micah. You're right. You're right. Look, I bought the Steam Deck OLED. And they shipped that out to me already. And let me tell you, so like, I've participated in, I think, most of the mid-gen refreshes for the consoles that I've owned in the past couple of years. Like I have a PlayStation Pro. Of course, I didn't have to pay for that, so that's, that helped move up there. I had an Xbox One X, same kind of deal. I did buy the Switch OLED last year or 2 years ago when that came out, and also I was a constant upgrader during the like the DS to 3DS XL kind of shit. So, and I can say pretty confidently that Steam Deck OLED might be the best mid-generation refresh that they've really had so far. And it goes like the OLED screen is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that. I have to tell you, like, because I'm comparing apples to apples, right? And I remember like certain games like Diablo, Super Mega Baseball, for example, and a lot of other stuff that I play on there. I know when I played it on the original LED Steam Deck, super loud fan noise. The back of the Steam Deck would get like incredibly hot because you have a big processor that's working trying to churn through those games. And I don't know, man. Like the OLED just performs so much better. Like the hottest that the system has gotten so far has been just like a mild warmth that I felt on the back of the system. And I haven't really pushed it. Like I should download Baldur's Gate on there and try like running that at like medium settings and seeing what happens. Because I'm also running games at settings that are appropriate to the hardware that I'm running it on. Yeah. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to play this game at like play these games at like super high end settings on a machine that can't handle them.
Yeah, you're not trying to spend all this money. It's like, all right, let's see if I can break it.
Right?
No.
but if you meet the Steam Deck where it is, it's great. Like I'm playing I've been playing Diablo 4 on there primarily lately, running it at pretty low settings, running it at 45 FPS. Which is doubled because it has the 90 hertz refresh rate, so it's doubling every frame. And it runs as smooth, like from a smoothness standpoint, it runs as smooth as it does on my big rig. Like it honestly does. And the Steam Deck is quiet, and it's not getting super hot. The battery's lasting longer, like before, like on the LED Steam Deck, I could probably get about 90 minutes of running Diablo 4 at that, even at those settings. And with the new Steam Deck, I'm getting at least 2.5 hours, if not more. Like I'm not getting yelled at by the battery or anything like that. It's just run incredibly well. The buttons are improved. Even, like I said, even small stuff like that, like the membrane they're using on the buttons. The buttons that should be clicky are sufficiently clicky. On the other deck, they were a little more mushy, even from like the unboxing standpoint. a lot more options stock with color. I mean, there's plugins you can download on Steam Deck to tweak that stuff too if you care to. But yeah, it's just been a fantastic experience. Like it's almost one of those things where like even if you own the regular Steam Deck, if you would not strain yourself to upgrade, like if you could buy the OLED and then sell your your LED Steam Deck, and you don't care about paying that little bit extra, like it's worth actually like upgrading if you have like an LED. And if you were curious about a Steam Deck, yeah, like don't wait, buy now. Like this is the one. This is the one to get. It's been fantastic. And I've been working from home a lot more lately, and like where I'm sitting now is where I do my day job as well, and that's kind of been going on for the past several weeks. And having that Steam Deck is nice because once you sit here for 8 hours, like you don't want to just keep sitting here and and even if it's to play games, like you want to get up from that chair, you want to go somewhere else in your house, you want to get up, you want to walk around. So like I've been doing most of my gaming on the Steam Deck lately. And it's been a joy. And again, it's lighter. Even my wife, who did not really use my Steam Deck at all. Like when I got the new one in, I handed it to her so she could check it out. And immediately on handing it to her, she's like, "Oh, it's a lot lighter than the other one is." And what's funny is it's not. Like it's only 30 grams difference, and it weighs like 640 grams. So like what's 30 grams at the end of the day? But when your muscle memory is such that you're used to the heft of the normal Steam Deck, like putting something that's even 30 grams lighter is going to feel like, it's going to feel significantly more light just because you're used to holding it. So yeah, it's been good. And I love this damn console. Like it is probably my favorite handheld console, that I've had that I've used that I can think of.
All right, I got a weird question.
Yeah.
Because the reason I got a Switch was so that, my wife is a big quality time person, right? That's her love language, right? Spend time with me, watch TV shows with me, right? So I would take my Switch and I'm like, all right, I could kill two birds with one stone. Quality time, right? And I could play the Switch and we can let the TV watch us as she's on her phone and I'm on my Switch, right? But I'm playing the Switch and she gets annoyed when I press buttons on it. She says it's too loud. So is the Steam Deck, when you jam on those buttons, are the buttons too loud? Bro?
I mean, she'll probably think they're too loud. I will say the face buttons are less clicky than the Switch. Like the face buttons feel like the Xbox controller's face buttons in terms of feel and press feel. The shoulders are going to sound very loud, especially the bumpers. They're very clicky. So
okay,
which I prefer. Like I hate a mushy.
I do too. I don't
bumper.
like mushy. I don't like mushy buttons. I like I don't play arcade sticks often, but like I like that sound, man. But all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm tempted. I'm curious, but I'm glad that if I do break down and get one of these things, I'm glad that there is a definitive option to get.
Yeah. And the other thing I really like about it is that it kind of reminds me of when I was into fucking with my Android phones, like when I used to buy Android stuff all the time, is that it's like if you don't want to tinker, like you can use it on a very surface level and you'll have no problem. But if you're a tinkerer, there's a lot of stuff to really fuck with if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty and adjust settings per game and load in like all these like different plugins you can use and stuff like that. So like it's as deep or shallow as you want it to be, but it works well regardless of what you do. So cool. I've been playing my normal run of games. The game, like the long-term game that I'm playing right now, is Persona 4 Golden. And what I've learned playing Persona 4 is that it is tough when you get into the most recent game of like a long-running franchise and then you try to go back. That can be difficult sometimes, just because as any long running series does, like there's a lot of refinements to gameplay and a lot of, refinements of systems and quality of life features and stuff like that. And so I'm really feeling that in Golden, because a lot of the stuff that they did, especially with the battle system in 5, to just make it more player friendly, is not in Persona 4. Like, even as simple as like, when you're in your skill menu, like it doesn't tell you if you've discovered a known weakness that a monster is weak to. Like you have to go back to the analysis menu to see what they're weak to, and then go back into your skills and stuff like that. And like not having the baton pass when you knock an enemy down and stuff like that is a bit frustrating as well. So like all the quality of life stuff, those are all very minor things, but they do add up because they're things that are repeated all the time. So like they're very noticeable coming from 5 to 4. And then the other problem is, and I'm still pretty early in the game, I'm only about 8 hours in, and I've only done the first dungeon. But I'm not into.
You don't like these people, don't you?
No, I don't like the story and the characters are not. They're not grabbing me like they did in 5.
Yeah,
I think part of the problem is like the first 2 characters that you meet, who are Yosuke and Chie, like combined they make Ryuji, but since they both have like half of his qualities, they're both just like half Ryuji, and they don't quite combine into the one Ryuji who you did like, despite his annoyances and things like that. Dojima's not as good as Sojiro, as like your father figure character, and like the teachers aren't as like they're too over the top. Like in 5, like I feel like they scaled the caricatures back a little bit of the teachers, but in this one, like you literally have a teacher that's wearing like a fucking Egyptian headdress regardless of what she's teaching in class and shit like that. It's very strange. And I don't know, it just doesn't flow as well. The early parts of the game don't flow as well as 5. Now, that being said, from my understanding, Persona 4 and Persona 5 are very much like on Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 7 scale, where there's like as many people whose favorite Persona is 4 as there are whose favorite one is 5. And especially like the longer term fans really seem to like 4 even more than 5 in some cases. But it's so far it's been not as exciting for me, and I don't know how much I want to I almost want someone to tell me like what's the point in the game where it really like snares you, and how close am I to that point? Because like if I have to
8 hours in,
right, like if I have to play for another 20 hours to get to the point where it's like, no, this is the hook and this is where it really gets you, I don't know if I want to go through all that, honestly.
I don't blame you. I played a little bit of this game back on the PSP. That's how long ago this was. And for some reason, I just couldn't get into it. And I normally like turn-based role-playing games, Japanese role-playing games. But there was something about this group of people that just didn't grab me, and I kind of tapped out. So I would love to play it. I've also heard that like people love 4, but I almost didn't give 5 a shot because I didn't really care for 4. But 5 was getting so much praise from literally every outlet, so I gave it a shot. So maybe I'll come back to 4.
Yeah.
If you stick with it, then I'll definitely go back to it.
See, that's why I almost wish like Carrie was here this week, because she I'm sure could explain to me why and when like things will get to a point where it gets really exciting in 4. So like I'm kind of trundling through it right now. That's the other thing too, is the at least the first dungeon. I have no idea if the other dungeons get more exciting, but the first dungeon was very ho-hum compared to the first dungeon in Persona 5. You know what I mean? Like it was just like the same, like the architecture was the same. There wasn't a lot of visual distinction. There wasn't a lot of mid area beats that you would hit on the way up the tower, essentially. So so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so far It's like Persona 4, it shows why, like, if you're going to play a long-running franchise, it might actually, in many cases, be beneficial to start with the older games and then go from there. Which makes me really scared to see, like, I know 3 is getting remade, but, you know, is it going to be modernized, or is it just going to be, like, a straight remaster of 3?
Oh, I'm thinking it's going to be a remaster because I thought 3. That's Nocturne, right?
No. That Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne is the third SMT game, but Persona 3 is
Oh,
it's a different thing.
which one is the one where they take the guns and shoot the personas out of their
I think
heads?
that is 3. Pretty sure.
That is 3.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'm getting Nocturne confused with 3, because that's what happens when you get old. Don't get old.
Too late. Too late. Like, I'm going to tell you kids out there, when you're feeling young and invincible, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, because
Yeah, man. Jesus
you wish you hadn't. Like I said, I mean, my eyes are fine, but it's been a long time since I've gotten an eye exam, so, you know, gotta keep up with that stuff. We're gonna go pay some bills, and then we'll be right back with news. All right. So again, we can't spend too much times on these layoff stories, because it's just like, man, this sucks, you know, and it sucks that we're still in this space in the industry. But I still feel it's important to mention them when they happen. So Humble Games a couple of weeks ago laid off a bunch of folks. And then we also saw more layoffs around other groups within the Embracer family, which we're going to continue to see, I'm sure, as Embracer looks to divest themselves of a lot of holdings that they are probably regretting picking up. I really wish, especially this time of year, man, that companies would put a fucking moratorium on this shit. Like, it would sure be nice to not lay off people, you know, within a couple weeks of Christmas, but
Yeah, man. What is yeah, I just don't understand the I, it makes it seem like it's deliberate. Like you couldn't wait a month. You
or you
couldn't wait
couldn't
to
do it,
turn a
or
new
you
game.
couldn't do it 3 months ago. Like 3 months ago, you
Right.
couldn't figure out that, like, oh shit, like we're in real trouble, and so we better
Yeah,
do
man.
something about this. So
It just seems it just seems like premeditated at this point.
yeah,
Like because it's so cliche. Like it's gauche, man.
yeah,
Like
it's like I said, it continues to be incredibly unfortunate, and I'm kind of torn, because, like, the Game Awards are next week, and, like, I feel like Jeff Keighley needs to address it in some way, shape, or form, but, like, I'm not sure how, and I'm not sure if it even matters, whether Jeff Keighley
honestly,
does or not.
honestly, that award show is not the place to address it because that award show is all respect to Jeff Keighley. We have fun at his expense. I really do respect the guy. That award show is a parade of corporate IP, right? That's all it is. And I understand the notion of wanting to award developers and studios and publishers and all, I understand that, man. Cause and you know, like these people want to win this thing, right? Like they want to win the winged angel or whatever. Is there like the Oscars, right? Like is there a nickname for it?
I don't know if there's a nickname for the Game Awards statue.
There needs to be a nickname. The Moon Man, right? Like there needs to be.
Oh, kids don't know what that is
Yeah, they
anymore
don't know what the
nowadays.
Moon Man is. Jesus, don't get old. Don't get old.
If you were under 30, comment on the Discord, densepixels.com/fans, and let us know if you know what the Moon Man Award is, and what award show that comes from, without Googling. Like if you're under 30. Like, if you're over 30, I would expect you to know. But if you're under 30, I'd be curious.
I think it would be kind of gross to address that at this particular award show.
Yeah.
Like if it was like the Dice Awards or something like that, like yes, but I understand the double-edged sword of that is that there are going to be way more eyes on the Game Awards than any other industry award. But no, I don't think you do. I don't think you address it, and I don't think he would address it. To be well. And look, now that I've put that out there, he'll give like one line.
Yeah, I don't see how you can't, because otherwise it's like this enormous elephant that's just kind of in the room. You know what I mean? I feel like you have to give it at least a tertiary mention. But at the same time, like, what does that actually mean?
Right, exactly. Like at this point, it could be the in memoriam segment of the show.
Yeah.
Right? And but like how do you transition from that? How do you transition? And now a world premiere from the
He said
trailer.
he said there's no world premieres at the Game Awards this year.
Oh, really?
I think that's what he said. I don't he did like a Q&A, and I confess I haven't heard it from his lips. But I could have sworn I saw like a YouTube thumbnail that was the topic of a YouTube video where it's like, oh, no world premiere at the Game Awards, or something of that sort. So
I will be shocked if there are no like brand new trailers or something coming out at the
well,
like,
maybe well, again, brand new trailer is not the same as, like, I think what he's saying is that it's not like there like a new game is being announced that we don't yet know about at the Game Awards. Like I think all the stuff that we see is gonna be stuff that we know is coming.
Okay, here's your first look at Grand Theft Auto 6, right? That would be kind of, I don't know. It feels kind of icky to me.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, like, look at all these people that were fired making the things that you love. Now come and buy this, right? Like, it just, I don't know.
Take Two's not firing people, Mike. Remember, because Strauss Zelnick's a mega genius, apparently. He sits there fucking pumping iron in the gym, like fucking normalized growth, maintainable margins. Like you just fucking he's doing it. Just like not trying to get out over his skis. Don't buy the COVID bubble. Like, let's fucking go.
Oh shit! Now look, I'm talking all this shit. I'm gonna probably watch it. I'm a sucker for award shows.
It is always something that I have on in the background. It's never the focal point of what I'm watching, but I always have it on just in the peripheral. So
yeah, like I'm always curious as to what people are thinking, and what people think is. This is the closest thing I am to being on the pulse of something.
Yeah, I also like it because as I was hearing a podcast that I listened to talk about today, it's hilarious because there is literally no other event on the planet that has such a diversity of attire that's worn. Like you have everything from someone wearing a t-shirt and basketball shorts to like a tuxedo, and everything in between. So for some people it's like nerd prom, and for other folks it's just like, no, like I'm just wearing jeans and a tee. Like, come on.
I mean, look, Phil Spencer had it right, man. He's got the best of both worlds. He's got the t-shirt and the sport jacket. Like that's the hey guys, I'm really wealthy, but I'm also relatable.
See, Daniel in the Discord made bingo cards. Like, I don't remember if Phil Spencer comes out wearing a t-shirt and sports coat was on his bingo card, but if it's not, it should be, because that's almost a guarantee. I feel like. We have some good industry news that will be bookended by bad industry news, because again, we can't have nice things in this day and age. But one of the good industry news that's out there is Atlus, who is coincidentally enough the developer of the Persona franchise, is actually raising the annual salaries of its Japanese staff by 15%, which of course runs counter to what we've seen going on in the North American labor market. Now, it does bear mentioning, though, that Japanese game developers are woefully underpaid compared to their American counterparts. Basically, the average Japanese game developer makes about $35,000 when you convert it to U.S. currency. whereas the average U.S.-based game developer makes around $90,000 a
Yeah,
year.
that's a pretty big gap,
Yes.
guys.
But again, it's nice to see a company, raising salaries, because again, that's one of the ways that you can retain people is and also attract new talent to your studio as well, as by having competitive salaries that make you a desirable place to work. Atlus, however, is owned by Sega, and Sega of America specifically is now being accused by workers of threatening workers with mass layoffs in the wake of potential unionization. Basically, a unfair labor practice notice was filed by the Communication Workers of America, who I believe is the parent organization for the unions within Sega, accusing Sega of forcing employees into a meeting where they were told that their jobs would be offshored to Japan and Europe rather than bargaining over layoffs directly with the union.
Jesus.
Yeah. Look, this is fucking scummy, man. Like, they're looking at layoffs that could potentially lay off up to 80 unionized employees. And essentially because these groups have unionized, they should have gone through and bargained with the union to begin with. Instead, they went directly to the workers to try to threaten them, basically, which is which sucks. A quote from Elise Williker, who is a senior QA tester that's part of the union, said, "It's disheartening to see such actions from Sega, as it unmistakably demonstrates bad faith bargaining and a refusal to recognize the valuable contributions of a significant portion of our colleagues. We have filed an unfair labor practice charge to call out Sega's direct dealing with members and its breaching of the status quo by telling bargaining union members that our jobs would be ending shortly." That is a good reminder for everybody too, that forming a union and deciding and voting to unionize is only half the battle. And you need to then, the next step is forcing those companies to actually acknowledge and recognize that union, which, some companies are much more apt to do than other companies are. And Sega of America seems to not be a company that wants to willingly engage in that process.
This is a hell of a system we got over here, man. It's
Well,
just like,
I mean, this is the the Reagan '80s truly coming home to roost, basically. But it's interesting because outside of the gaming industry, like, we are seeing unions gather more and more high profile victories around the United States specifically, and I think the companies see that and they're scared. They're afraid of what a continued surge of unionization across American workers could mean for them. And so that's why you're seeing such aggressive tactics, because they don't want to get into a situation where all of a sudden they have to bargain and they have to collectively bargain with staff, because when that happens, when workers work together and unite, they tend to get better terms. And we're seeing it with unions across the country. We saw it with the actors strikes and SAG-AFTRAs and the writers. We saw it with the UAW, the Auto Workers Union, which got record increases in their salaries because they're collectively bargaining. Fucking companies see that shit, man, and they are thinking about it, and they are talking about it. Rest assured. But obviously, it's a very good thing that there's this renewed push to unionization. That was really beaten out of the public consciousness in the 80s, essentially, when deregulation was riding high, and there's a very specific reason that it was beaten out of the public consciousness, because business owners didn't like it. So very good to see that flip back the other way.
yeah, it's about time. And I'm gonna say what I always say:
I was waiting for it.
get your politics out of my video. What the fuck?
So there were also two higher profile lawsuits that have been filed in the game industry. One which is very frivolous, and I don't even know why they bothered, and one which I think might have some teeth. So the frivolous one, a company, I think there's like a class action suit in, I want to say it's in Europe, against Sony for basically like they're accusing Sony of owning a monopoly because they run the PlayStation Store. But that's literally not a monopoly when Xbox, Steam, Apple, Google, GOG, Epic, Amazon, like all these other game runs exist. And I think that the argument is around Sony's first party games. They're like, oh, they have a monopoly on those first party games that, they can release and they can charge whatever they want for them. But it's like they're their games. Like,
yeah,
like they made them.
If I make it, or if I have people on my staff that make it, I'm gonna no. Like I was about to say that. I was about to say like, is this just because someone who has an Xbox wants to play Spider-Man or God of War or something?
I don't know. But it's dumb. Like if someone I heard a comparison on another show. Like they're talking about it's like a fucking like an orange grower grows oranges and then he charges what they want, and it's like suing him for charging for the oranges that he grew, but like he has the right to charge what he wants, and you have the right as a consumer to decide whether it's worth it for you to buy those or not.
See, but that analogy would only work if he was the only person that you could get this particular orange from.
Right, but other oranges still exist in the marketplace, and Sony's games exist on other storefronts. Not day and date, but they get there eventually.
Nope. I want my Spider-Man orange, and I want to be able to play it on my Xbox.
I mean, look, I'm pro consumer. I would imagine more than most folks are, but even I'm just like, this is stupid. This is very dumb. Yeah, this is very dumb. It's not going to go anywhere. The lawsuit that I think might go somewhere, and I'm actually. It's interesting to me that no one has broached this subject before. So when you buy an annualized sports game, okay, and especially nowadays, like every annualized sports game, FIFA, NBA, MLB, all this stuff, they have premium currency that you can buy to buy card packs and things of that nature in the game. So if I have if I have EA Sports FC 24 and I spend $50 on virtual currency, then it'll sit in my virtual currency wallet for me to buy packs and stuff with. However, if for some reason, like let's say I stop playing EA Sports FC 24 today, right? And I'm like, I'm not going to play this till 25 comes out, but I still have like $20 worth of virtual currency sitting in my store wallet. That currency does not transfer over to the new game. Like when you're buying that currency, it is specifically being bought for that year's current edition of the game. And there's a class action complaint being filed against Take-Two Interactive pursuant to the NBA 2K game specifically, saying that there's no reason that this virtual currency should not be able to transfer between different editions of the game because they're essentially providing you with the same product from year to year in many respects. Now, I don't think this is a slam dunk case to win, but I think that there's more of an argument here, especially because these companies do deactivate these servers eventually on these games. And theoretically, even though it would take 10 years, if you have virtual currency that you purchased sitting in your wallet and the game servers were deactivated, that currency would then become lost to you at that point.
Yeah, it's kind of like when when you go to arcades,
Mm-hmm.
you don't put a quarter in there. You put a token,
Right.
right? You give your actual money to get fake money so that you can play this game. And if you have extra tokens left over, I mean, you can't go to a different arcade and use that token.
Mm-hmm. But
So
you can use. I don't know if that's an apt comparison because you can use those same tokens in multiple machines in the same arcade. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the way that this lawsuit is looking at it. if you're making that analogy.
Okay. All right. I this feels shaky. This feels this feels kind of shaky. Like I understand the logic of it,
Hmm.
but I don't I it would be interesting to see what kind of case they can drum up. Like if it's
Hmm.
just like, this one line, like, oh well, I should be able to do this. I I need to see what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though.
Yeah, and I mean 2K's defense obviously is going to be like it's clearly stated when you're buying, VC,
Yeah.
like it's for this specific edition of the game. Like it's not like they're trying to get around that. It's very clearly stated when you buy the stuff on these online stores. But I almost feel like this would be like a this would if companies were to kind of take a step back and look at this, this would be a pro consumer move because I don't honestly like. I'd be curious to know like how many people and like what is the dollar value amount sitting in people's virtual wallets in these games when the new version comes out, and how much would it cost you really to be able to enable players to do like a one time transfer to the new game of that stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, it would convince you to spend that currency
Right.
and inevitably, buy more to get what you actually want, right? Because you've got change left over. If that change could have bought something in the edition that you currently have, you would have spent it. So it would if you were able to transfer that over, it would incentivize you to buy more of the new currency to add to it so that you can buy whatever you want so you can empty your wallet. So
Hmm.
yeah, I agree with you. That would be a good PR move.
Hmm.
But you're gonna buy it anyway. Like that's what they
Well,
like that's
well,
their
maybe. I mean, I
mentality.
also wonder like how many people kind of like subscribe to the sunk cost fallacy. Where like I do wonder, and again, it's probably a very low percentage, so I'm probably just talking out of my ass. But I do wonder how many people either wait to buy the next year's edition of the game or just stick with the old version for an extra year because they're just like, well, I've already, I've spent and invested so much into this year's edition, like it would be stupid to start over again from square one. I don't know. Like I said, that could be like a percent of a percent of people, or it could be like 5% of people. And if 5% of people do that, is it worth it just to move that money over and get them to get the new edition? I don't know. It's an interesting experiment that only these companies really know the answer to, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Microtransactions were. I get why they're there, man, but they've just kind of ruined games to a
They've
point.
they've ruined games that where they're in there that don't need microtransactions. Like they bled into games that shouldn't have them, and that I think that's
Yeah,
been a bit ruinous. Again, for stuff like especially the like for Diablo, for example, do I think that the price of the things in Diablo that you can buy are egregious? Yes. Do I give a shit because I'm not spending a single cent on any of them because I'm not paying fucking $20 for a cosmetic overlay for my armor? Yeah, and if they're there and if that makes fucking Blizzard happy and gets them extra income because there's dumb people out there that are willing to spend that kind of money on skins, more power to you, I guess. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me that they're in Diablo 4 because they're not changing the gameplay experience at all.
yeah.
But for like obviously for like sports games, it's a bit of a different thing because they're directly tied into these modes that most people like to play.
What do you do? I haven't played a sports game in forever, but like, well, I guess you're buying this currency to buy like packs, and then you're essentially gambling with those
Well,
packs.
so that's interesting because so in EA Sports FC, yes, like you're basically just buying card packs with players in them. 2K is might be the more insidious version because you can actually so not only can you use them in their like their ultimate team equivalent mode that they have in the game, but you can also use VC and I think what most people use it for is my player because you can buy attribute boosts for your My Player in order to pump up their stats.
Oh, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
And then you can take that like online.
Yes. And play against other players.
Come on, man. That shit is whack.
Literally at GameStop when 2K would come out, like it was not uncommon. And when I say not uncommon, I mean like this would probably be half the people that bought 2K at launch would buy 2K and a $50 VC card, because $50 in VC is what you need to spend to boost your character stats up to the maximum level they can be with boosted currency, and then you had to grind out the rest of it because they only let you get up to like a certain ranking in each stat with VC, because they don't want to let you buy your way to the entire way to victory. It becomes a time saver, really more than anything else.
So it's basically the born into wealth mode for
Yes.
your player. Oh, here's your foot in the door and a push, and then you can do the rest on your own.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you up 9 rungs and climb the next 2
or it's the Assassin's Creed. Hey, would you like to earn 1.5 times the experience that you normally would earn to make this game faster? And when it came to Odyssey, I said yes. I would like
did
to
too,
do
man.
that.
I did too. I got kids, man. I got that kind of time.
So they should call that the fucking you got a family now booster pack. You don't have time to be grinding these side quests, you old man. Like, yeah, you're right. I certainly don't. Like, let me just fucking main story this shit. Let's fucking go.
Oh shit.
So, speaking of buying stuff, we're gonna give you guys a few more ads, and then we'll be back to talk about wrestling. All right, well, let's take a dip inside the Dense Pixels post office, where you can ask us questions that we answer on the show. That is in our Discord, which is densepixels.com/fans. And so actually let's get the non-wrestling question out of the way first. Because Rogue G asked me to talk about the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix, which happened a couple weeks in, which became a shit show, complete with a class action lawsuit against the organizers, and then the current F1 champion saying that fans should burn it to the ground. See, the Las Vegas Grand Prix was a tale of two stories, right? So first of all, like the lead up to the Vegas Grand Prix, people in Vegas fucking hated it, because literally the racetrack, if you pull up the racetrack, there's a 1.3 mile stretch of the track that literally travels down the Las Vegas Strip. Okay, so in the weeks leading up to the Grand Prix, they were building like the barriers and stuff like that, and and constructing the the safety measures around the racetrack so that they could go racing. And then the rest of the track ran around side streets, in the off-strip areas around like the Venetian and the MGM Grand and those hotels that are over in that area, right? So residents didn't like that. Not even residents, but like tourists that were just in Vegas leading up to the Grand Prix. They also put like sight barriers everywhere, so that if you weren't like a paying spectator, like it was impossible to view the race elsewhere in the city. And that extended to race day. So like they literally had the sight barriers built on the bridges that cross from one side of the strip to the other side of the strips to cross the street. They had them going up like the escalators and shit like that. And there was viral videos going around of security guards threatening to arrest people who were like lingering at points like on escalators and shit like that where they could see the action going on. So that's not a good look by the folks that were being hired to do that shit. So that's part of it. Then controversy struck because on the first day, the first practice session. So Micah, a regular race weekend, they have 2 practice sessions on the first day. They do 1 practice session and then the qualifying on the second day, and then the Grand Prix itself is on the third day usually. It's a 3-day weekend. And so the first practice session got red flagged in about 10 minutes in, because one of the drivers, so the way an F1 car works, because of the aerodynamics, the car is literally, the way the floor is built is literally being sucked down to the ground, right? To maintain it, them being low to the ground, to being able to to navigate effectively. And because because the car is suctioning down to the ground, if there's anything that's loose on the ground, that thing will fly up when the car travels over it because of the negative pressure that's being enhanced. Well,
Yeah.
this happened with a manhole cover, like a manhole cover
Yeah.
that was
They
on the
happened in
road.
Baltimore. They happened in Baltimore. They
Yeah,
had to not
right.
work and they had to seal them.
Yep. And so this manhole cover gets sucked up into one of the cars, wrecks it, right? Red flags the session, so that the session ends. And because of the delay, it delayed the start of the second practice session. And the other thing that I forgot to mention is that because they were holding this in Vegas, they had to start all of the sessions each day at 10 o'clock p.m. Vegas time. Because they couldn't run them during the daytime because you'd get in the way of fucking Vegas shit. Right? So part of the deal they made was to do this shit late at night when, like traffic would be ostensibly less affected by closing down literally half of the Las Vegas Strip. So because the start got delayed and they only paid the security workers at the racetrack to work until 2 a.m, they literally kicked fans out of the race center and would not let them back in to watch the second practice session that they had paid for as part of their packages. So that's where the lawsuit is coming from. And also the reason why the manhole cover zipped up is because like normally because this isn't the only time they race on a street circuit. Like they do this several times a year. The race organizers are supposed to weld those down to the ground so that that doesn't happen. So the weekend was looking like an absolute shit show. Also because the racetrack, because they're in Vegas, and you think, oh, Vegas, it's hot, like it's the desert. Yeah, the daytime is hot, but the nighttime is very cold. And so the temperatures on the racetrack, it was like 50, 60 degrees when they were actually racing, which means the road temperature was probably around like 80 degrees, which is very bad for Formula One cars because it makes it very difficult to keep heat in the tires, which you need to do in order to gain traction with them as you're racing around corners and stuff like that. So qualifying was super weird because normally the way the qualifying works is that drivers will go on an out lap, like they'll come out of the pits, they'll go on an out lap, they'll get their car prepared, and then they'll do one flying lap around the track where they go as fast as they can, and then they do a cool down lap and before they go back in the pits. Like that's kind of the normal rhythm of qualifying. Because it was taking so much time to get temperature into the tires, they literally had to do 2 prep laps, like every time they went out to do one qualifying lap, and it was just throwing off everything. Like we got really weird results, which is fine. Like it's cool to have a mixed up grid, but it was just a strange Grand Prix. So everyone assumed that the race was going to be a fucking train wreck shit show. And it actually was like one of the most compelling races of the entire year, just because there was so much overtaking. There was so much movement on the track, a lot of drivers jumping each other. And part of the reason was you have this 1.3 mile straight, which is the longest straight on the calendar. Like it's the longest straight that they race on. And when you can get behind someone and slipstream them for that long, and then into a hard braking corner, it's so easy to overtake. Like there are so many overtakes at the end of that straight, that it was just a really exciting race. So like the race actually ended up, for as bad as it started, ended up being really fun, and I can't wait till next year's edition. So that's how I feel about the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It was great.
There you go.
And even Verstappen came around because he won, so of course he was much more happy.
Oh well, yeah, that's great.
All right. So let's talk about, as Cam succinctly put, well, he's back. Discuss.
Before we do that, Survivor Series, Survivor Series is anybody's favorite pay-per-view, which is why they've kind of done away with the whole match that the pay-per-view is named after. But I do like the War Games theme. I'm told that like War Games matches from like the 80s when they were, first invented were a lot more like violent.
Well, so the original War Games match, there was no pinfall option. Like it was submission only. Like you literally like what if you want like the original War Games flavor, that's what the Blood and Guts match is in AEW essentially. Like Blood and Guts is essentially OG War Games.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. But it's a gimmick match that I kind of like. You know, it can lead to some good spots and lead to some good stories. I think the women's match kind of outshone the men's match in terms of like athleticism and like all the different stories surrounding it that kind of coalesced. Um, yeah, look, I'll watch Gunther wrestle. You know, I'll watch him wrestle anybody. He's amazing. Um, he's got this like Terminator thing going, and he's not bad on the mic. Like the dressing down that he gave to the Miz, who I don't hate, was amazing. I feel like they sent you out there with the Miz just to see how well you are on the mic, and if you can go toe to toe with the
I
Miz,
mean,
then you.
I'll put it to you like this: like you, he was able, and again, not like the Miz has ever has been a heel always. Like he's had some spots of babyface wrestling, but he Gunther is convincing enough to be able to. His mic skills are convincing enough to take a wrestler that fans really enjoy booing. Like he's fun to hate, and he got Miz. He basically forced fans to cheer for the Miz, which they
Yeah,
did.
right, in a promo.
Right.
That's like, this is amazing. You chanting those three letters means nothing to me. Like, damn. I mean, you're right. You're right, though. Um, I think what was it? Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee.
I really like that match.
I
I'm thrilled that Escobar won because I know that they're very high on Dragon Lee, but Escobar winning is the right thing to do if you want to build him up as a credible heel, which he works better as, by the way. Like I fucking hated him in like this LWO babyface bullshit. Like I never liked him. I thought he was always an excellent heel.
I agree. What I forget what match was. I forget was.
Rhea and Zoe Stark, which was very
Oh yeah,
forgettable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, everybody watched that match to see what Rhea Ripley was gonna wear. And what she looked like. I mean, like, like it is what it is, man. Like she's, yeah, she is. And then the last match was fun. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't better than the women's match. Um, seeing Randy Orton come out looking huge, like I'm always amazed at like what the human. I was talking to Jay and Terrence about this a couple of weeks ago. I'm amazed at what the human body is capable of, because Randy Orton and I are the same age. Randy Orton and I look absolutely
Say
nothing alike.
Randy Orton spends a bit more time in the gym than you do.
Just a bit.
I would imagine.
Just a bit. Yeah. So but he came back looking like a million bucks. And when Randy Orton like gives a shit, like Randy Orton is very entertaining to watch. Well, like you can tell when Randy just like doesn't give a shit, and it's a slog, right? But it was really really good to see him back. Um, I know everyone loves the RKO, but like you need to kind of stop doing those if you had triple fusion back surgery. Having a finishing move where you land on your back probably isn't helping things. So maybe bust those out. Don't bust those out on the road. You know what I mean? And then he came back, and look, I'm not a CM Punk guy. But I understand why people like him. I think he's way better on the mic than he is in the ring. I think he always. Um, I I I I don't understand. Never has someone had a more apt theme song for their character, because I don't. That dude is the cult of personality. I
Yeah.
have no idea why people openly weep when this man comes to work. And what I really don't understand is young people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you are 35 and up, and you're a huge fan of CM Punk, and you remember even if you don't like remember his before he came into WWE, even if you only remember the pipe bomb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, because that was at a time when, like, he was actual Punk, right? He was
Mm-hmm.
he was anti-establishment and shit. But like, I'm seeing kids, like children, like like what what? Okay, but he came back. Look, half of wrestling is like getting pops, and that pop that he got in Chicago, which by the way, it was in Chicago where
Mm-hmm.
he's from, was amazing. It was like, I love feeling that energy,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, like, it's for someone that I don't really care for.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
here's my thing. So like, I watched a lot of his matches in AEW when he was there, and he's not the same wrestler that he was
no, he's
10 years
not.
ago. Like, not even close. And again, like, it's good vibes now, but it was good vibes when he stepped in the door at AEW. You know what I mean? Like, and that was not that like people are like, oh man, like, he's a changed man since AEW. I'm like, that was 3 months ago that all that shit with
Yeah,
Jack Perry
yeah.
happened. Like it's all, and again, it is entirely possible that his promo that he gave on Raw last night was genuine, in that it is very possible that he realized after spending time in AEW and seeing what a very poorly run wrestling company looks like, where he came to the revelation, was like, oh shit, it actually maybe wasn't that bad back in WWE. And now that I buried the hatchet with those guys, maybe I should see if it's worth going back in the door, because I'd like to actually have a good end to my career, as opposed to whatever the fuck this is that's going on over here right now. So it is very possible that he had that revelation working in AEW, and realizing, as Triple H said, that hey, maybe the grass isn't so green actually, like on the other side. You know what I mean? And again, it has been a long time. And I don't know if you know this, but apparently, like, I don't know if it was Royal Rumble, this past Royal Rumble or the one before it, but apparently, like, he was backstage at one of them recently, and like buried the hatchet with both Vince and Triple H, and
Oh,
really,
so,
that's kind of what led to this happening.
so he had the forethought. He was ready to go. He
Yeah.
was he was quiet quitting, as the young people say.
Perhaps, and again, like that, the picture with Triple H and Punk, like, backstage at Survivor Series, with Triple H doing his signature, point at CM Punk. That's very intentional, because everyone remembers, maybe WWE better when Vince McMahon dies, but then it's just gonna be, run by his idiot daughter and his doofus son-in-law. Like, everyone
Right.
remembers that fucking quote. Everyone remembers the fact that, he basically told Triple H off and was like, yeah, like, you need to wrestle me more than I need to wrestle you, and that, like, that fucking bullshit. And he was a guy that genuinely did not have any love for Paul Levesque, and it seems like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
maybe has either changed, or he's willing to put those feelings aside to make money, not friends, as he also said last
Also,
night.
I mean, I hope I'm getting worked. I hope I'm getting
Oh, the
worked,
Seth
right? I'm
Rollins thing
not.
is an absolute work.
No, no, no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Okay.
about CM Punk as a character, because
Hmm.
CM Punk as a character is he's coming off like a hypocrite and a sellout.
Yeah.
And I hope that's part of the I hope this is part of it, right? I hope
Hmm.
this is part of the gimmick, right? Uh because it's like I know this the whole Seth thing is a word. Like, I was listening to a podcast, and they pointed out, yeah, there was a fan who came out and assaulted Seth Rollins on Raw,
Hmm.
and he showed more restraint in that than when Punk came out, right? Like, he was overdoing it. Like, fuck you, fuck you. Like, all right, calm down, yo, calm down. I know Michael Cole is like secretly like ripped, but like Michael Cole ain't like holding you back if you really want to go after this guy, right? So yeah, I get it, but yeah, it's weird, man. He's coming off as a hypocrite and a sellout. And look, you better than me, man. I'm not. I hold grudges, man.
Look, I mean,
I hold
again, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but credit where it's due, he is interesting, and
He is
he
interesting.
makes things interesting by his presence. So, my biggest thing, and I think I said this in the Discord, is I, or no, I said it to Johnny privately, so I haven't said this publicly. I just really hope that WWE, if the shit gets rocky, does not let him harsh the vibes around the rest of what's going on right now, because the rest of what's going on right now is actually really good at WWE. Like, they're on a really good run of form, I feel like, as a company, for the last good long while.
Yeah, like
And
the tables
yeah,
have turned, man. Like they don't need you.
right.
You know what I mean?
No, they don't.
Like,
And really, it is much more likely that he will detract from the WWE product than be additive to it. To be perfectly honest. So we'll see. But
we'll
again,
see.
like if he has truly straightened up and flown right, and if he stops being the most thin-skinned person in the universe outside of our former president, then things will be okay. But if he's still that same guy, then we'll see what happens in 6 months. So
Yeah, yeah. You give it 6 months. I give it
I'll give it a
till
year. Give it a year tops before
look.
potentially.
Look, if he doesn't main event a WrestleMania, like if they don't do this whole thing with Seth Rollins and him at WrestleMania, main eventing one of those nights, then I think you'll immediately see they oh CM Punk. That's what look. I know everybody like on the internet hates WWE, but WWE is probably why you got into wrestling.
Yeah.
It's probably the reason you got into wrestling. And each and every one of those wrestlers, it definitely is. And they all dream of main eventing a WrestleMania. And that guy and Punk has said that, right? Like he went like he got
It was
pissed.
one of the reasons that he got pissy and left the first time, is because they
Right,
would never give him
right,
that spot.
right. And the closest he ever got, The Rock came back and took it.
Right.
So yeah, he's probably like, he buried the hatchet. They're like, okay, we'll set you up with a program with Seth Rollins. I'm hearing it's going to be at the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't do that. One, if I was booking CM Punk, and I don't know shit, right? I'm some dummy on the internet. If I was booking CM Punk, he would not wrestle until January. You get him out. You do what you have him do what he does best, and that's talk. You have him talk. You have him build this up, and you have a war with where Seth Rollins is not is good on the mic, especially when he's not trying to be Huey P. Newton, right? Or Fred Hampton. You know what I mean? I am a visionary. I'm a revolutionary. Like, shut the fuck up. Yo.
I think
Like, that shit
I
really gets
think
on my nerves.
I think he's better on the mic than you give him credit for, and I think that WWE is taking what you are saying, and I think they're doing it because, again, like, CM Punk came back and Seth Rollins like basically brushed him off and immediately went to and his next port of call is Drew McIntyre. So, like, I honestly, I think that if anything, it's going to be Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble,
I would want
and then
that.
you'll see the CM Punk thing build
Yeah.
into WrestleMania potentially. So,
Don't have him wrestle and let him be an entrant in the Rumble. That way you can hide any weaknesses or deficiencies in the Rumble. Do you have him win it? I would not want that.
yeah, I don't think he can, because I think that it's whoever wins the Rumble. Like, it's stupid if they don't go after Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Like it is logically inconsistent for someone to win the Royal Rumble and they're like, but actually I want Seth Rollins. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So yes, I don't think he can win. Hell, fuck, Seth Rollins could cost him potentially winning it for all I care. I don't know.
Right, but you hide him in the ring in the Royal Rumble. Like you said, Seth could cost him or whatever, and then that is the definitive, like, we're on the road.
Right.
And you have
and look, Rollins would be an excellent foil for him, especially if you want to paper over cracks with CM Punk, because Seth Rollins does not get the credit that he rightfully deserves, but he's probably one of the best can carry guys to a good match wrestlers that are currently in the company right now.
Oh yeah, he's like a safe Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
like I love Seth. I just don't like this weird like cross between the Joker, the Penguin, and I'm a revolutionary. It just is.
See, I love it. I just don't like it as a babyface. Like that character works so well as a heel.
I don't like it as a babyface. I don't like it as a babyface. As a heel, is a douche.
Yeah,
it's perfect. It's perfect. But like this, you know, it's weird as a face. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Look, it'll be interesting. They got me to do something I haven't done in a very long time. I sat there and I watched 3 hours of Monday Night Raw.
And frankly, the promo wasn't even that worth it at the end of the day.
It really wasn't.
It's very funny.
But they did their job, man.
But look, I mean, but that's why he's back. Because, you know, what the fuck did I do? I literally... You know, I watched the Triple H part of the press conference after the Survivor Series. I never watched those fucking press conferences.
Yep.
But I wanted to hear what Triple H had to say about CM Punk.
I did the same thing.
Yep.
I did the same thing. So
just goes to show you we're just as dumb as the rest of you. So
yep.
So that'll be the show for us tonight. Again, don't forget to join the Discord going to densepixels.com/fans. Go to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe there. We do post this podcast in video form every single week. You can subscribe to all the other TNP Studios shows, and don't forget about our premium channel. It's only $5 a month or $50 for a whole year to get access to the premium slate of podcasts, including hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks here, a review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning on the Men with the Golden Tongues. And then, of course, you can help support the site financially by going to densepixels.com/Amazon whenever you make any purchases at Jeff Bezos' megacorp that he is currently running right now. So that is it for us. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we will see you all the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.